We'll get into that and much more right here on Wake Up America. In the meantime, joining Katrina and me is attorney and Republican strategist Erin Elmore and radio host and Project 21 National Advisory Board member Christopher Arps.
All right. Yeah, that's a good point. It's interesting because, again, he's saying, no, I'm not going to go. And yesterday we were hearing he's holding on with white knuckles. But, of course, what a difference a day makes. Erin, how do you think this will actually affect the world, obviously, from a political and international relations standpoint, moving forward? This is a big change in the UK.
Big change in the UK, and he was sort of seen as more of a patriot in his own country and sort of brazen and bold and brash, more of the President Trump kind of style of leadership. But I do believe this wasn't a great surprise. Talking to people over there, they said that he has been under fire for some time, and the pressure really was mounting against him. I guess he stood as long as he could, but realized time to go. So now hopefully we have to see someone that has the country's best interest at heart, sort of nationalistic approach as we see always sort of works better over there. And yes, he told the Queen, and as we know, she's a ceremony figurehead, but she is so beloved over there. So I think we have to wait and see and just sort of hope for the best for that country, and gotta wait and make sure that they keep their freedoms, and hopefully they'll work well with the United States. But unfortunately, under President Biden's leadership, we don't have great leaders ourselves. So let's hope for better over the pond.
Yeah, I think that's the big question, because he did have a really good relationship with former President Trump and a good relationship with President Biden. So we'll see. He has blamed everybody for this, essentially. I mean, he blamed Trump. He's blamed oil companies. He's blamed Putin. I just wonder who's giving him these talking points. And I don't know if they say, just keep saying it because people will believe it. But he
if you say it long enough.
Right. People will believe it. But listen, I'm watching some of this, the mainstream media, the CNNs and the MSNBCs. They're not believing it because they're asking the questions. And even some Democrats aren't believing it. When is he going to take responsibility for his actions? Or do you think he even will?
He will not take responsibility for his actions. And when you just played that clip, I want to meet those people in the background that are standing behind Joe Biden and nodding in unison as he uses the lovely alliteration, but a total lie, of the Putin price hike. Who are these people behind him? Do they not have to put money in their gas tank? Do they not go to the grocery store and see the empty shelves and the high prices? Do they not talk to their friends and neighbors that are struggling to make ends meet, or who have children in schools that are learning critical race theory and that there are more genders than letters in the alphabet? No one is believing that this is a Putin price hike. And the people at home are also feeling this, like we said, but the poll numbers are reflecting it. Most people do not believe Joe Biden and the lies that he is spewing. And honestly, like I said, I just want to meet the people behind him and know what reality they're living in, because it's not my reality. And I assure you, it's not the majority of the American people's realities either.
Yeah, Erin, that's a good point. It's like, okay, who are you? And how do you think this is? Okay, I think they caught up in the moment, the halo of the president.
Just quickly to your point, when you were saying you wonder who's there, you know who wasn't there? Two Democrats weren't there because they had other appointments. Tim Ryan, who's running for Senate, and Democratic gubernatorial candidate Nan Whaley, they weren't there because they had appointments. But I do want to move on because, again, there's more things going on in the White House. White House Communication Director Kate Bedingfield is stepping down at the end of the summer. She joins a list, Erin, of others who have stepped down from their positions in the administration in just recent months. What do you make of this?
Well, listen, I would love to say this is just another example of the chaos in the White House, as well as it could be. You know, there was a lot of turnover in Trump's press department as well. But I do believe when you watch these press secretaries on the right, we had the Kayleigh McEnany's and the awesome Sean Spicers and the Sarah Huckabee Sanders. We had people that were brilliant and talented and handled far harder questions than we see these press secretaries on the left. So honestly, I do believe that there is turnover in this department a lot, whether you're right, left, or center, but there is chaos in Washington. There is chaos in this press department. They are incapable of answering a straight question, no matter who it's coming from, a softball or a really difficult question. And they all seem to move on to jobs in the left-wing media, which makes you scratch your head. Her excuse is that she wants to spend more time with her family, which is not an excuse. That's obviously great to be with your family, but let's see where she lands. I think we got to sit and wait and watch this one.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. Chris, listen to this one. The White House Chief of Staff Ron Klain put out a statement about Kate Bedingfield, talking about all of the things she has done for the administration.
Well, thank you so much. We'll see you at the top of the hour. Now,
Erin, I'm going to start with you on this one. We know the shooter was labeled a clear and present danger by law enforcement back in 2019. And as we continually discuss, Illinois is one of the toughest gun laws in the country. What's the disconnect? What went wrong here?
You know, I think that law enforcement and the general public and everyone in the media is just trying to pick up the pieces of this horrible tragedy. And people on both sides of the political aisle really need to take a step back and say, hey, we have a grieving country and a grieving state and a grieving city where people are just trying to understand and feel the pain of loss that they're experiencing. And I think that's the primary focus right now. Deciding and figuring out what went wrong is really a big part of the picture. But I think it's important to don't make this so political right now. This is a terrible tragedy, and we should allow these people time to grieve. In Illinois, they have, we've seen Mayor Lightfoot in Chicago pointing the finger and advocating for stronger gun laws. We've seen the governor, Mr. Pritzker, advocating for the same kind of things. But truthfully, Illinois has the 8th strongest gun laws in the country. How much further can we take it and restrict constitutional rights here? And that's the problem that we're facing. And we have to ask ourselves, what were the police department in this state, in Illinois, doing, missing all of these flags and all of the information and facts that this young individual was very unwell? And people this unwell, by the way, should not have guns. This is not a constitutional issue any further. This young man should not have had guns. And unfortunately, he was acting within the laws as they stood in the state. You can't keep making stronger laws and expect to have different results here.
Yeah, Chris, I think Erin's right. Is every time we see this type of situation, lawmakers are very quick to go on social media and do interviews and say, guns are the problem. This is the problem is guns. But he got the gun illegally, and there was obviously something that happened in between that. He should not have gotten a gun. What I've heard from a lot of lawmakers, mainly Democrats, is this outcry of guns, but not enough from them about the mental health issue.
To you, the British public, I know that there will be many people who are relieved, and perhaps quite a few who will also be disappointed. And I want you to know how sad I am to be giving up the best job in the world.
That right there, Boris Johnson resigning from his post as prime minister after months of scandal just a little while ago. For more reaction, let's bring in attorney and Republican strategist Erin Elmore and radio host and Project 21 National Advisory Board member Christopher Arps. Erin, I'll start with you. Just your reaction to him resigning. As of yesterday, he said, no way, I'm not doing it. But quickly things changed.
Very rapid changes across the pond. And, we've seen the largest conservative majority in Britain in 30 years. So the big question now is, where do they go as a nation? What does that country look like? And we heard your correspondent speak about some of the possible options. Luckily, most of them are conservative. But the problem with Boris, I think that he had, was that during the lockdowns, the country was at home grieving and struggling with all of the restrictions of the coronavirus, and he was seen out partying. Additionally, there was a bit of a sex scandal. So the pressure became too much, and there was no option to resign because many of his top cabinet members said, enough is enough, we are leaving. So really his feet were held to the fire, and I think the biggest takeaway is you got to do your job. You don't say, do as I do. Do as I say, not as I do. You have to lead the way that you want the people of your country to behave, and hopefully they remain a conservative nation. And we got to see where we go from here, because everyone has so many questions, so few answers, and we're all watching at home, just like you are in the studio, hoping for the best for Great Britain.
Absolutely. Chris, your thoughts? What does you think this does? Because Boris Johnson had a good relationship with former President Trump and a decent relationship with our current president. What does this mean for relations with the U.S.?
Well, I think the relationship between Great Britain and the United States is strong. It will always be strong. We are historic allies.
President Biden was in Ohio yesterday saying the economy is in a strong place at the moment. But he did say the Trump administration is to blame for job losses. My goodness, let's take a listen.
Previous administration lost more jobs in its watch than any administration since Herbert Hoover.
But anyway, Erin, so the president says his economic plan benefited the rich and hurt the middle class. Now, isn't President Biden hurting all of America right now with this high inflation that he continues to blame on Vladimir Putin and the gas stations and the oil companies, and the list goes on and on?
Every American, right, left, and center is feeling the pain, no matter your socioeconomic status. The problems in this country, when you go to the gas station, you have sticker shock. When you go to the grocery store, you just can't believe the astronomical prices that you're paying. And the problem is no one is believing Joe Biden. I'm going to read from the recent Harvard-Harris poll. 60% of Americans doubt Joe Biden's ability to serve. So he can talk about facts. That is a real fact. 71% do not want to see Biden have a second term, and 30% of Democrats do not want him to be the nominee. So what does this tell you? See, there again, with the statistics and the polling up there, doubt about fitness, 60%. These numbers are staggering. So whether he blames his lovely alliteration of the Putin price tag or Donald Trump, no one believes it when they go to the gas station or the grocery store. When parents look at what their children are learning at school, they certainly don't believe the lies either. We just want our children to be able to have a country where they learn math and reading and science. We want a country where we feel comfortable paying the prices that we see in the stores. And right now, sorry, his lies aren't cutting it.
Yeah, you wonder if those numbers are going to go up, especially with Democrats. Chris, even the left-wing media is covering the way Democrats are viewing the Biden administration right now. Take a listen.
One member of Congress calls the White House rudderless, aimless, and hopeless.
Got to get you guys back again. Great conversation today. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Up next.